Would you fall for a scam today? Your answer might say more about your brain than any memory test ever could. Most people believe Alzheimer's disease starts with one thing: forgetting a name, losing a word mid-sentence, misplacing your keys again. That belief is not wrong, but it is incomplete. Scientists now know changes inside the brain can begin 15 to 20 years before memory problems ever show up. The disease does not wait for memory to slip. It starts somewhere else entirely, somewhere almost nobody watches. Today we walk through 3 of these early signals, and none of them involve forgetting anything. One shows up in your sense of smell, one shows up in your mood in a way most people misread, and one shows up in your wallet. By the end, you will also learn about a real, validated test you can take at home in about 15 minutes, and exactly why one result from it can never replace a real doctor. Let us start with the signal almost nobody expects. Let us talk about smell, because this one surprises almost everyone. Your ability to tell one scent from another depends on brain structures tucked inside your temporal lobe. These structures sit right next to the areas where Alzheimer's tends to begin its earliest damage. That is not a coincidence. Researchers found that most people diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's already had measurable problems detecting odours, often long before any memory issues appeared. Picture a person noticing a familiar scent and suddenly realising they cannot smell it at all. It might be food cooking, fresh coffee, or the air after it rains, something they have smelled their entire life without ever thinking about it. They blame a cold or allergies. Months pass. The smell never returns. They think little of it because nobody ever told them smell and brain health were connected. Years later, they finally see a doctor, but only after small memory slips appear too. Looking back, their sense of smell had been trying to tell them something long before their memory did. This does not mean one stuffy nose is a warning sign. Colds and allergies explain most smell changes. What matters is a persistent, unexplained loss lingering for months without an obvious cause. That kind of change is worth mentioning to a doctor, not because it proves anything, but because it is one piece of a larger puzzle. Now let us talk about mood, because this is where things get genuinely tricky. A massive study following nearly 1.5 million adults in Denmark found that people diagnosed with depression had a dramatically higher risk of later developing dementia. At first glance, that sounds simple. Depression damages the brain, and dementia follows. But researchers warned the relationship can run the other way too. Here is the part almost nobody talks about. If depression, irritability, or anxiety appear for the first time in someone's life, especially after age 55 or 60, in a person never prone to these moods before, that shift itself can be an early symptom of disease already underway. In other words, brain changes might come first, and the mood shift might simply be the earliest visible sign, arriving years before any memory problem. This creates a real challenge because sadness and irritability are also normal parts of aging, retirement, and everyday stress. The difference researchers point to is not one bad week. It is a lasting, out-of-character shift in someone who was emotionally stable for decades. A personality quietly rewriting itself without any clear life event behind it. Family members often notice this first, long before the person does. Someone who was always calm starts reacting with unusual sharpness. Someone who once enjoyed company starts avoiding it. None of this confirms anything alone. But a persistent, unexplained mood change, especially alongside other signals, deserves the same attention as any physical symptom. The third signal might be the strangest one on this list, and it has nothing to do with memory, mood, or smell. It has to do with money. Researchers at the University of Southern California studied brain scans of nearly 100 adults over 50. People whose brains already showed early changes linked to Alzheimer's were noticeably more likely to fall for financial scams. Think about that. The ability to spot an obvious lie, a fake prize, a fraudulent request for banking details depends on brain regions involved in judgment. Those same regions are often among the earliest affected. Picture someone who spent an entire career managing money carefully. Someone who was always sharp and skeptical about anything that sounded too good to be true. Within a short span of time, they fall for a scam they would have easily spotted years earlier, then fall for another one soon after. Their family is stunned. They chalk it up to bad luck or simply getting older. Nobody considers that this sudden repeated vulnerability might be a signal coming from the brain itself. To be clear, falling for one scam means nothing on its own. Scams today are sophisticated and careful people get fooled constantly. What researchers point to is a pattern, a repeated change in someone previously cautious with money for decades. That kind of shift, combined with other changes we have already covered, is worth raising with a doctor, not brushing off as bad luck. So what can you actually do with this information beyond simply worrying? There is a real validated test you can take at home called SAGE, developed at Ohio State University. It takes about 15 minutes, involves a short series of written questions, and needs no special equipment. Studies show this test does a genuinely good job telling apart normal cognition from early impairment. In research settings, it catches most true problems. But here is the honest part most videos skip. No test like this is perfect. Some real cases slip through undetected. Your result can also be thrown off by things unrelated to dementia, like poor eyesight, lower formal education, or simply feeling anxious during the test. A leading medical review of self-administered cognitive tests reached a clear conclusion. None of them should ever be trusted alone as the final word. They are one piece of information, not a verdict. A low score is not a diagnosis. It is a signal to have a real conversation with a real doctor who can run proper testing and look at your full health picture. One more strange fact before we wrap up. Researchers recently found something inside brain scans called enlarged perivascular spaces, essentially clogged drainage channels that the brain normally uses to clear out waste. Early evidence suggests these clogged channels might show up on brain imaging years before any other symptom appears. It is still an early finding, still being confirmed across larger groups of people. But it hints at a future where doctors might spot risk on a scan long before a person ever notices anything themselves. Let us return to that quiet moment of noticing a scent that simply is not there anymore. If someone had known that smell, mood, and money decisions could all be early messages from the brain, they might have brought it up to a doctor years sooner, not out of panic, but simply out of awareness. That is really the point of today. This is not about scanning your life for problems after every forgotten umbrella or unanswered scam call. Most of the time, these things mean absolutely nothing. What matters is a real pattern. A smell that never comes back. A mood that shifts and stays shifted without any clear reason. A sudden repeated vulnerability to scams in someone who was always careful before. None of these signals confirm anything on their own, but together they can be the earliest whisper of something worth a real conversation at a stage when doctors have the most room to help. Early awareness does not mean living in fear. It means paying attention to the quiet signals your brain sends out, long before memory ever becomes the obvious one. So here is a real question for you. Which of these three signals surprised you the most? The smell, the mood, or the money? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more science-backed videos like this one, breaking down what is actually happening inside your brain as you age, subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next one.